Hey everyone, it's Mike, piddling around the yard again, and we're going to talk about some spring bulbs. And I know I just recently did another video on spring bulbs, and those were over in the ground next to my satellite dish. But this time we're doing a little bit different. Stick around. Okay, hey. So, like I said, we're going to do this a little bit different with the bulbs. I really like to plant flower bulbs, but the problem that I have is that every time I plant the bulbs, especially the ones that I like, they get attacked by the voles in the ground, and they end up eaten up, and I don't get any flowers. So I've planted literally hundreds of tulips in my flower beds out front. And I've planted probably a few dozen in the past couple of years. And last year I had all of about 4 tulips that came up because they just get eaten alive by these voles. They love them. I don't know what the heck. I can't, no matter what I do, I can't keep them away. So I have a new idea this year. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to try it. All I can do is try, right? So you'll notice I've got a table here and I've got pots. I'm going to plant the bulbs in these pots, and then I'm going to bury the pots in the ground because I don't want to have to deal with pots sitting around. I don't have a lot of pots sitting around yet, but I'm going to put them in these pots and then plant these in the ground, and maybe there's a little bit of the lip sticking up out of the ground, and hopefully that keeps the voles. They won't be able to dig through this, so maybe it'll keep them from eating my bulbs. I don't know. Maybe. We'll find out. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to, basically I've got some soil mixes here that I've made. I'm going to fill the pots with dirt, put some bulbs in it. I've got some bone meal and some fertilizer. This fertilizer is Trifecta Plus. It is, you can find it at MI Gardener. I'll put the link in the chat below. But Trifecta Plus is a good fertilizer. MI Gardener is a channel I follow. They're up in Michigan, and he sells seeds. I got all my seeds there this year. I got some fertilizer. I got some other things. They have a little store that they started. He's been doing it for quite a few years, 10, 15, 20 years. I don't know. But he sells seeds and all kinds of supplies, and actually really good prices. So if you're looking for seeds, check him out. But I'm going to try putting these things. I've got some dahlias, I've got some gladiolas, I've got some tulips, and I've got some alliums. These are things I've tried to plant over the years, and then they get eaten by voles. And so this year I'm going to try and plant them, and I'm going to save them in some pots, and we'll see if it works. All right, let's go. So really, all I'm going to do, this is basically a homemade potting mix. This here is a homemade potting mix that I made. So, like I've said in a couple other videos that I've done recently, around my garden, I use wood chips to keep down the dirt and keep down the weeds. And this is year 3 since I put those down, and they're basically rotted and composted at this point. And top 2 inches around the garden, around the raised beds, is really good composted wood chip soil. So I took that, I've added some perlite, I added some worm compost, and so it should be a really good soil mixture at this point. And then I'm going to add in the bone meal and the trifecta when I'm planting the bulbs, and these bulbs should be really happy. So all I do is put some dirt in there. It says to plant these about 6 inches deep, so about 6 inches left of the pot. So I'm going to put the bulbs in. And again, if you're looking at these bulbs, this one, it has kind of a flat end, and then it has a pointy end. On all bulbs, the pointy end usually goes up. because that's the part that grows out of the ground. So that's how you know. This one, you can almost tell that there's used to be some roots there on the bottom, so you can also look at that. But there we go. Got the bulbs just kind of pressed into the dirt a little bit. I'm going to throw about a handful of the trifecta fertilizer down there. I'm going to sprinkle some bone meal over top. Going to spread that around because the bulbs, good bone meal is a good fertilizer to add when you're doing bulbs. Now this soil over here, this is a cocoa core. It's a good soil for, it's made out of coconuts, ground up coconuts, shells, I guess. But it's a really good, kind of like peat moss, but it's just a waste product of the coconut industry. And they found out they could sell it to gardeners. So that's what that is. But I'm going to mix it in here along with the compost that I have just to, it's a good, it retains moisture really well. And it also adds that organic material to the soil. So this will be a good soil. So that's basically it. I've got a pot ready to go. This one's gladiolas. I've got a whole bunch of extra pots. I've got a whole bunch of other bulbs. So I'm going to continue planting out these pots and bulbs. And then I'm going to show you where I'm going to put these. I am going to show you guys kind of what I'm doing out here. Let's see how this works. So this little flower bed that is a complete mess, it's right here next to the driveway, right? So this little flower bed is kind of a huge mess right now. But what I want to do is, number one, this is a hydrangea and it needs to move to my hydrangea garden. So I'm going to dig that up and I'm going to move it so that I have more space here. Another thing is, if you'll notice, all of this greenery that's in here, most of it is called liriope. And liriope is a ground cover, kind of like hosta. I don't know if it's in the same family or not, but it's nearly impossible to kill, but it looks nice and it gets some flowers on it. So it's a nice ground cover to have, a border. You can use it, I use it as a border, and a lot of people use it as borders around different flower beds. So, but the thing is that, like I said, it's nearly impossible to kill, and it spreads. And now it spreads slowly, so you don't have to worry about it, you know, taking over too much. But you can see that it's taken over this bed, mainly because I haven't done anything with this bed in, I don't know, years. So what I'm going to do here is I got to dig up a lot of this liriope and get it out of here. So I want to use it as a border. I'm going to use it as a border all the way around, and then I'm going to use it, you know, around the base of this Nandina bush, and there's some bushes. There's another bush up there. There's the pussy willow tree down here. So I'm going to leave it around those bushes, but in between them, I want this whole area to be open for my flowers. So that's where I'm going to plant all my flower bulbs, is right in here. And I do have some already planted and growing here. I've got some irises. There's all kinds of daffodils already coming up out of the ground. I've got some irises, and I guess the the voles don't attack the irises, so that's another one that, you know, grows pretty well. That's really all I have in here, because everything else that I've planted has been killed by the voles. They come and they eat it. And I find their little tunnels and trails all through this, so I know that's what's happening. So I'm going to clean this all out, and then I'm going to plant my pots in here. Now this is going to take a while, so I may have to come back to this in a future video once we have it cleaned up and everything planted. I think I'll come back to that, because I'm not going to get that done today. All right, so that's about it. I hope you enjoyed and I hope this plan works of putting the bulbs in the pots. So we'll keep an eye on this, and I'll show you how the flowers are coming out in a future video, and we'll keep track of how it's working. But if you have any comments, let me know. Don't forget, subscribe to my channel. Tell your friends. Hey, I'm trying to increase my subscriber base, so don't forget to tell your friends. Go ahead and subscribe. Try to get me up above. I'm trying to break the 100 mark for that right now, and then we'll set another goal. But right now, my goal is 100. So help me get there. All right. We'll see you next week.